everyone, and welcome. I'm Tami, the creator of the blog and this YouTube channel called Nutmeg Notebook. And this is where I share with you all about a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. Now, as you can see, when you're looking around behind me, I am not in my home kitchen. I'm actually in Alaska, and we are on a Windstar cruise aboard the Starbreeze ship, and we are having a wonderful time with a lot of whole food plant-based people. And I have some new friends here that I have met. This is Susan and Harry Bald, and Harry has a really great journey to talk about what going whole food plant-based did for him, as well as for Susan. And so I just thought it would be great if we shared their story with you, because we know that when we hear someone talk about what whole food plant-based did for their health and how it changed their life, it just makes it really tangible. And you may yourself be having some health issues, or a friend, or maybe a relative, and we are hoping then that this story will inspire them to make some changes as well. And we're just going to get started. Since we're not at home, we don't have our boom for the mic, so we're going to pass the mic around a little bit. And so just know it's that the format today is just a little bit different. But Harry, I would really like you to tell us why you went plant-based and what was going on with your health and how you learned about a whole food plant-based lifestyle. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you for that.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much, Tami. Our journey being plant-based started about 5 years ago when we found out that it was looking like I was going to have to get a heart transplant. And this all really started back around 2008, where I was having prostate trouble. And so I was taking pills for that, and I was laying down in the afternoon, and when I would get up, I'd be dizzy. So, you know, they're saying, well, you're allergic to this medication, so we better switch it to another one. So they switched, and then the same thing was happening with that. So when I talked to my general practitioner, she said, well, maybe you ought to get your heart checked. And I think the important part about this is that most people, they don't really know if they're having a challenge with their heart or anything. We're just laymen, we're regular people. And, you know, until somebody discovers it, we don't know. So I went in and had an echocardiogram done. That was in 2010. And when we finished, they asked me and Susan to hang around for the results. So we were sitting there for a while, and you know how it is when you're waiting for a doctor. You know, they just keep taking forever. So I decided to leave without talking to the doctor. So we just got up and left. And about 2 days later, in the mail, we got a card from my doctor saying, contact the hospital as soon as possible. We need to talk to you immediately. So I called, and they said, well, come in today. You know, I called immediately. They said, come right in. And so Susan and I went down. We're wondering what the urgency was. And, you know, they said, hey, you have some real challenges. You have a bad heart valve, and you have your ejection fraction is 40%, and we want to replace your heart valve immediately. So that was very shocking to us. They said that they were going to do open heart surgery to do that, which, you know, I mean, that was very scary for us. Susan started crying, and then I started crying because I felt so bad for her. But anyways, you know, they said, we want to schedule it next week. And so I don't know really what happened. Was we couldn't do it the next week, and then it got put off for a month. And what ended up happening is we ended up going back in for another echocardiogram. And because I was functioning so well, they decided to delay that. So anyways, I was going in a couple of times a year to get, my heart checked out with an echocardiogram, and they did MRIs and other things. And we were always wondering what the delay was. And it wasn't really ever mentioned to us for a number of years, but every time they checked me, my heart was enlarging. So around 2015, now I'm getting checked 3 times a year. They said, look, we don't know if we should replace your heart valve because you look like your heart might need to get replaced. It's enlarging. If it isn't the heart valve causing your heart to enlarge and get weaker, then it doesn't make sense to change the heart valve, and and then you're going to have to get your heart replaced. So that was
scary, huh? Pretty scary.
It was very, very disrupting. Yeah, it was really scary. And so anyway, at that time they put me on the treadmill for an exercise stress test, which was really quite interesting because we've been athletic our whole lives. We've worked out our whole lives and, competed in sports and running. We're runners. And what ended up happening was when I got on the exercise stress test, they said, look, we're not going to let your heart get over 120 beats a minute. And they started putting all these limitations on me. And I told them, I said, look, my heart, we're going to have to get my heart rate up to about 160 because I know what my heart rate is when I'm fully working out. So anyways, they decided to go along with it. And when I finished the stress test and all that, they got done with me. They threw me on the table and they redid the echocardiogram. When I was fully exhausted, then they said, we want to have you talk to the cardiologist. When we went in to talk to the cardiologist, I had actually, I don't know if I should put it this way, but I broke the record for the exercise stress test for the hospital. So yeah, I almost went the maximum time that it could go, and we felt good about that. So, but anyways, they just said, you're functioning, but we got to get a handle on this. And so they kept checking me, and the next year I went back. This time when I went back, the head of cardiology brought in 12 cardiologists to watch me on the treadmill to see how can this guy function. And they just said, your body's learned to deal without oxygen, So anyway, so we did it again. And then at that time, the doctor was saying, okay, we're going to have to do something. We might have to do a heart replacement. So they sent us to a very well-known hospital, and we got there, and they sat us down, and the head of cardiology came over and he said, look, I want to speak with you before these other cardiologists run you through this battery of testing. It was, I think, like probably 2.5 days of testing. So we said, sure, no problem. So he took us in the back and he said, look, you need to go plant-based. Now, we had never even heard that term before. I was asking Susan, do you know what plant-based is? She said, no. And then we're going, well, maybe it's like vegan. And so anyways, that being said, I go, well, like, what's that got to do with this whole thing? And he goes, this is now in 2017. He said in 2012, he walked out. His wife is a physician, and she was telling him that he should be plant-based. And he said, I'm the head of cardiology. My wife's a general practitioner. Do you think I'm going to listen to her? And we said, no, men don't listen to their wives.
Wow.
Yeah. So he said, so I didn't listen to her. He goes, I walked out, and on the street, I had a heart attack, fell down the street, and they kept me going, and got me into ICU. And at that time when I woke up, my wife was there, and he said, the first things out of my mouth was, I'll eat anything you say. And he said, I'm glad I did, and that's why I'm bringing it up to you now, is that you really need to be on a plant-based diet. He goes, I take no medications. And this was 5 years prior they had the heart attack, and now he's taking no medications at all. He said, I've had complete heart reversal and or cardiovascular, whatever you call it, you know, that where your veins get all clogged up and all of that. And he said, and I'm doing fantastic. And that's why I want to bring it up to you. Now, it's up to you if you do it. I'm not going to go into any more than that. But I do want to say that I hired these guys. I trained these other cardiologists that are going to be working on you. And I would appreciate if you wouldn't say anything to them about what I said, just because they don't listen in this area. They really treat symptoms, and you know, that's what they're educated to do. So we said, okay. So then we got checked out. They said, we're going to give you about 6 months. We'll see how you look. And at that time, we're going to make the final decision whether we go with this. So Susan and I went home, and we elected to become vegan. And there is a difference between vegan and fully plant-based.
So I'm just wondering if the doctor offered up any books or documentaries or, you know, a food plan or anything for you, you know, especially since like you had no clue what whole food plant-based was. Did he offer up anything for you to check into?
Well, that's where I came in, and I actually asked him, I go, well, are you talking about no meat any longer? Or are you what? I'm not sure what whole food plant-based really is. And so he said, well, that's for you to find out now. I gave you what you should do. And then he left.
Wow. Okay. I mean, great advice, but it could be a little more thorough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was totally confused. I just knew what we needed to do.
So what did you do? How did you discover what a whole food plant-based lifestyle was then?
Well, it was quite interesting because we went vegan for a few months, and then all of a sudden in our community where we live, there was a nurse, and she was going to have a class called plant-based. So I go, oh, plant-based, we need to attend that. So basically I go, well, I'm going to go and see what it's all about, and then maybe we can do better on our diet than what we're trying to do, because we didn't know. I've been kind of researching everything, but not really knowing where to go, what to do. And so so anyway, I went to the class, and she was teaching on Dr. Fuhrman's Eat to Live book. So yeah, so that's how we really got, you know, going, because before that part, I had no clue really. So
yeah. So taking it from there, she went to the class for 3 weeks, and she came back and she was so excited. She goes, this is what we need to do. She goes, they're getting off cholesterol, lowering their medications, diabetes, they're losing weight. At that time, I didn't really feel like I was that much overweight. I was about 183 pounds, and I'm 6 foot tall, so I wasn't like really fat or anything like that, you know. And but hey, it all sounded pretty good to me. So I said, what are we going to do? And she said, well, they have a 6-week eating plan in this book that Dr. Fuhrman wrote, Eat to Live. And I think that we should follow it. So I said, well, give me a few minutes here. And I looked on my calendar, and it was exactly 6 weeks and 1 day till we're going back for this full battery of testing again. So I'm going like, wow. So we were feeling like there was divine intervention in there, because just the way all of this was working, I mean, it was pretty amazing. It was all in perfect timing, which really helped us to feel that we had someone looking after us. So we got the book. We did the 6-week eating plan, and then we went back and I had another echocardiogram, another stress test, stress echo, and all that.
He forgot to tell you that he threw all his pills away when we started this, because he said, I want to find out if this plant-based eating is really what's going to help me instead of the pills that he's taking. So he threw them all out, and I said, oh my gosh, don't do that. You're going to kill yourself, But he did it. So, it was pretty amazing. So go ahead.
Yeah, so let me just say this. We do not recommend this for anyone to do. This is a dangerous thing to do, and you shouldn't do this if you're at home watching, okay? So, but I did do it because in the outside world, when you're dealing with these physicians and that, it's the pill fixes everything. And we've learned that the pill sometimes are necessary, but they don't really fix anything. They might mask a symptom. So anyways, we went on, did the 6-week. I lost 18 pounds. Susan also lost 18 pounds. When they looked at all my cholesterol, all my numbers on my blood and my labs, it was unbelievable. She's going like, wow, your labs are like fantastic. So I asked my cardiologist, I said, what would you say if somebody's labs changed that drastically and they didn't even take medication? And she said, well, that would be a miracle. So I said, okay, well, that's exactly what happened. I got rid of all the medications. She goes, you got to be kidding, I said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, I switched to a plant-based diet. And she said to me, that would work. Yeah. She said, that would work. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And she said, because nobody does it. And when she said that, I just said, shouldn't you give people the choice to do it or not? And she said, well, it's just in my experience, nobody does it. And I have a lot of clients and nobody's ever done it, so I don't bring it up. So this is what we're fighting with, in the outside world, to try to help them to understand that we need options and that. So I did better on my exercise stress test. I did, all my numbers were great. With taking 20 milligrams of a cholesterol pill, I was at 208, and with no cholesterol at all, I was like at 183, something like that, which was a pretty dramatic change. I think Susan would like to share a little bit on her numbers and her story, because right during this time, she went to her doctor and her cholesterol was up a little bit.
Okay. Well, yes, I was also going to the doctor the same time as Harry. And so I had a conversation also with my doctor, because my cholesterol numbers were up around 208. She said, the next time I see you, we're probably going to have to do some statins. So I said, oh gosh, I'm really not into medication like that. And, isn't there something I can do? Is there something you could recommend? And she said, well, you have to go home and research it and figure it out. That's what she said to me. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll have to do research, because I really don't want to take these, medications. So anyway, it was all at the same time. And also I was trying to lose weight. I exercise almost every day, couldn't lose 1 pound. And it was like, gosh, I don't know why I keep feeling like I'm gaining weight. As soon as I went plant-based, I lost, separate, but together, I lost 18 pounds right away. Totally, I lost a total of 25 on our plant-based journey here. So, I felt really good about that, because otherwise I was losing nothing.
Yeah, so from there, they've just been monitoring me annually, uh, just checking my heart out, making sure I still have my heart valve. I have a 40% ejection fraction. I really don't know how bad that is. They were urgent at the start to get it replaced, but now that, we're functioning fine, I'm functioning fine. They just seem to be monitoring me each year. And but I want to say that plant-based really changed our lives. It's a very important thing, and we know that it's very difficult for some people to switch. But we were committed to following that plan, and that was what really led to our success. Maybe some people need to just tippy toe into it. We've never done anything like that in our lives. Everything we do is usually pretty full throttle, but we did it that way. And when you do things like that, you'll see results quicker. And we saw results quicker. Within a week, we already started losing weight, blood pressure going down a bit, and all of that. So that
your heart shrunk.
Yeah, and my heart
That's
actually,
the thing.
yeah.
Is his heart actually shrunk.
Yeah.
And every year we've been going, it's been, his heart actually shrunk. And every year we've been going, the doctor, is telling us, it still looks good. It's still shrunk, and more healthy than it was, I guess.
Yeah, so taking it from there, I mean, that's been our journey. Now, the other great thing about plant-based is Susan, what she's done is we had some influence in our business before we sold it. Some of them said, oh, we notice you're plant-based now. We'd like to try that. So Susan, once a month at our house, her friends come over and they all cook a plant-based meal, SOS, it's all what we call firm and compliant, and we all sit down and have a meal. We have about 4 or 5 families of people, and it's really fantastic. Every once in a while, somebody slips in to give it a try, and we're happy to help them to be able to do that so that they can see. A lot of when we started the eating the food plant that was in the book. The book's called Eat to Live, so we were trying to follow that 100% because what we were interested in was eating to live. So we didn't really care if the food was super flavorful or anything like that. It was tasty, but some of it was a little bland for us. But since that time, we found hundreds of unbelievably wonderful recipes that people can just enjoy and really get a lot of satisfaction out of it. The other thing I think it's important for people to think about when you're going through this, because a lot of my personal friends, I'm at that age now where people, are having challenges in their health. And what I mention to them is they should go plant-based, and they go, well, I can't give up my meat. But really, they're not really thinking about you're giving up your life so that, and your spouse is going to be left alone. And that happened to me when I was young. When I was 13 years old, my dad passed away of emphysema, and it got kind of burnt onto my brain that my mom would be standing there at the sink crying, and I'm just a teenage kid. And I'd be going up and asking her, what's going on? And I didn't want that to happen for Susan. I didn't want Susan to have to go through that. And there's financial repercussions when people die too, when you're in retirement. You lose one of the Social Securities and things like that. And I think that people need to think about that. And I think the women, I heard a statistic one time that 92% of men will eat whatever their wife cooks, whether they like it or not, because they're too lazy to go cook for themselves. And so I want to bring that up to you women out there, that this is something you can try. And you need to talk to your husband, like my wife spoke to me and said, what am I going to do if you're not around? And that really got me in the heart. So that's our story, and we want to thank you for listening. I don't know if we have some more questions here. We're happy to answer.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for sharing all of that. That is just amazing. And I agree with you. It was like divine intervention that, you know, the cardiologist that you saw told you the little bit that he did, but at least he planted a seed for you. So that's so amazing. And the fact that you know, were willing to cook for him and join him in this as well. It's so inspiring. It really is. It almost makes me think like that cardiologist knew that they could have told you about plant-based and didn't. I'm angry about that. You must have been terribly angry about that. So what I'd like to know is, you want to say something?
I do have one thing I would like to say in regards to that. Yeah. That I immediately started giving books to these cardiologists because sometimes she wouldn't be there. So I would bring books every time, Eat to Live or, you know, whatever, Greger's book, and, you know, How Not to Die. And I would give them to these cardiologists as I would meet them because they were interested in talking to me. The story was enticing to them. And last time we were in, which was last September, I'm just getting ready to go through another testing on this September. And she said, you know, I'm thinking about going plant-based. So it does make a difference. They do understand when they start reading and seeing other doctors, what they're saying, and they get the facts. It means a lot to them, and they want to do what's right.
That's fantastic. And so that may turn around and save even more people's lives. What I'm curious about is, like, do you have children? And if so, did they adopt this? And what about your relatives? And when you get together for the holidays, what happens? And so if you could share some of that.
Okay. We do not have any children. We have a lot of family and that sort of thing, a lot of nieces and nephews, but yeah, when we're at the holidays, we actually bring our own food, and a lot of times they will, you know, want to taste it, and most of the time they really like it, but we usually, you know, have our meals with them. Yeah, a couple of our family members have gone plant-based. One of our cousins up in Oregon, we went up, and because he was having a lot of health challenges, diabetes and different things, and blood pressure, all those kind of things. And we did go up with them and shared about plant-based eating. They've changed their eating, you know, to plant-based eating, and it's been a journey. I mean, a lot of people have adopted it, but there are some still that are kind of dabbling with it right now in the family. So, but they all see us, and they see our, you know, especially Harry's success stories. So they're always willing to listen. Yeah.
So I just want to know, what is a typical day of eating like for you guys? What do you eat?
Well, typical, we usually have some kind of oats or like chia pudding or something like that in the morning I'll make like a green juice kind of thing with a lot of kale and beets and, you know, I put a little turmeric, ginger in there, and carrot juice. So that's usually what we have in the morning. The lunch, we might have like a big salad with, I make like a no tuna. We love that. That's like one of our favorites. But we usually have like a salad and maybe that or something else with it, and a soup. I usually cook a soup during the week with some beans in it and all that. And then in the evening, we usually have a salad again, maybe some steamed vegetables, and one of Harry's favorites is the what is it called? The bean, a bean. It's like a eat loaf, we call it, because it's from, I think, Esselstyn. Yeah, and we have like either mashed potatoes, mashed cauliflower with a little gravy on it. That is his favorite, with some spinach. So, but we'll vary it up. We, live in Southern California, obviously, so we love Mexican food. So I'm always cooking like a pot of beans. We always have a pot of beans handy, and then usually, sometimes I'll make some veggie enchiladas and with homemade sauce and things like that. So, but that's basically our usual eating pattern.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything to that about what you like to eat?
Yeah, I would. Because, well, we're very close to Mexico, Southern California. We eat Mexican food, and Susan makes these tacos with, it's like walnut meat. I don't know if you've had that. It's really delicious, and it looks like ground meat. It's really, really tasty, and we've had several people come over, and whenever Susan gets that out, I mean, if they're not plant-based, they eat that, and they go like, wow, this is great. This is like really, really good. So there's some fantastic stuff out there. It does take some time to prepare and all that, but it's worth it for your health. You can spend a little bit more time cooking. You'll spend a little less time at the doctor's. So that's the primary thing you got to think about. Health is everything, having money, having a great life. It just can't be great when you're always at the doctor and there's something wrong and they're stuffing you full of pills. So we really encourage people to do what we did. We're glad we did it. We would never turn back. And, it's fantastic, really. And the finest people on earth are plant-based people.
Okay, I love that. So what would be like one piece of advice that you would give someone who is thinking about going plant-based? What advice would you give them?
Well, basically, I would just say, do it for yourself. I think in this, you could be selfish for yourself, and don't listen to other people, because they don't know, you necessarily, your body, your, how you function. And I guess that would be my advice, is do it for yourself. I mean, it can make all the difference in the world. I'm so glad, I'm thankful that we found this journey. I mean, it's made all the difference in the world to us, and, family and friends and that sort of thing, that and we've seen firsthand the results of it. So I would just say, do it for yourself, and I guess that would be my advice. How about you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think, we've always been goal-orientated people. So we know when you have goals, you need to write them down. So I would say that you need to write down what your goals are. What are you trying to accomplish? Along with that, one thing I'd like to say is that doctors and people that aren't plant-based are not the enemy. So as we go through this journey, what we should be doing is we should be doing the best we can for ourselves, because that's our actual testimony to those people. People see who you are and what you do, and that's what they respond to, not what comes out of your mouth. So if you want to convince the doctor and get them thinking a different way, then you need to get serious about it. If your friends, they don't maybe get on board right away, maybe you can get them to eat one more salad a week. I heard Joel Furman say that to somebody one time when the lady said, how do I get my family going? He goes, well, look, if you can't do anything else, just get them going on one more salad a week. And that's what we need to do. But our example, if we're losing weight, if we're getting fit, if we're changing our lives, they'll see that, and that will be attractive to a lot of people. And when they get aboard, and then it's just going to snowball pretty soon we'll have our planet eating correctly just by doing the right thing. You only have to worry about yourself. Take care of yourself, get yourself in shape, do the proper things, pay the price, and what you'll find out is you'll help your family to change. They'll be living longer, healthy lives. Your grandchildren, they'll be eating properly. They'll be having healthy lives, and that's not too much of a price to pay to help other people. Thank you.
Okay, one last question here. So Lisa tells me that you guys travel a lot, and that's a big obstacle for a lot of people who want to eat whole food, plant-based. So I'd love to know, how do you guys make it work?
Okay. Well, we did purchase a small van motorhome, and so I pre-make all our meals and take them with us. But a lot of times we'll just, if we aren't on a trip or something like that, we'll, like we go to Mexico a lot. So what we do is sometimes we'll go to the grocery store, pick up what we need. We try to get a hotel room with a little kitchenette and, prepare stuff there. We try to make it really simple. And then a lot of times we'll look on we have the app, the Happy Cow. So we try to find places that we think would be the most compliant. And then we kind of, say, hey, don't add any salt, extra salt. Can you cook this without oil? And those sorts of things. But that's been very helpful, is having that app and then, trying to find places. And it's also kind of fun when you're traveling to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Happy Cow app is really, we've used it all over France, all over Europe, Great Britain. It's really, really good. We try to be as strict as possible. So when we go into the Happy Cow, when we go in the restaurant, we tell them we pick the healthiest stuff, and then we try to get no salt, oil, or sugar. But if they have a little salt on it or a little oil, we try not to worry about it. We try to just have a good life. We try to have fun on vacation. We're extremely compliant at home, and we don't really fudge at all at home, and we do very little when we're out, but you still have a life. You can't be worrying about every little thing. It's not about being stressed out trying to get healthy. So, sometimes, if everything isn't 100% correct, you just have to blow it off and not worry about it. But we steer clear of, of the stuff we're not supposed to have, the dairy, meat, chicken, fish, all that. We stay away from all of that. We can say, don't put that on there and that. So if anything gets messed up, it's getting messed up with vegetables. Right. So.
Well, then I'm also curious, because we're on this fabulous cruise with the National Health Association. So how did you guys find out about this cruise, and what do you think of the food we've been served?
Okay. Well, we found out through the National Health Association, and, we're so thankful that they came into our lives. I was watching something and I happened to pick up on it, and then I go, gosh, this is the greatest organization that really, is doing great things for people and getting them the right information for being plant-based. And the cruise has been fabulous. The food, they've done an incredible job. And it's been great.
Yeah, I want to agree. That the National Health Organization is really a vitally important organization for getting the word out. When we were getting ready to get on the cruise, we ran into a doctor in the hotel, and we started talking to him. He happened to be on the cruise, but he wasn't part of our group on the cruise. So we started talking to him about plant-based, and it was amazing. This guy he was already starting into being plant-based. So what was really fantastic was we introduced him to Wanda from the National Health Organization, and we let her take over. She gave him, some information in that. And we've seen him a few times on the cruise, and he said he snuck in and ate our food, and it was very tasty. And and it's really awesome. It's great when you can go on vacation and have something in common with so many people. We're all eating good. We're all eating healthy. There's good stories where we're encouraging each other, and it's really, really fantastic. It's everything's done for you. That's why I think people take cruises anyways and things like that. But, we really have the best people organizing all of this. And, all you do is show up. Just pay some money, show up, have a great time on vacation, meet a bunch of fine people, and really enjoy yourself.
Fantastic, you guys. I want to thank you so much for sharing all of this information with everyone. I know you are going to inspire someone else to give this a chance. And I'm also wondering, have you ever written to Dr. Furman to tell him about your transformation and finding his book?
Yes. Actually, we've been to a few of his conferences that he does and retreats. And we have met with him he has a center down in San Diego. And so Harry went there for a little physical and that sort of thing too. So we're following with him as well, Dr. Furman. And he knows our story and what have you too. So yeah, we're very thankful. And we thank you guys too, because you're doing an incredible job getting the word out to people, helping them to stay focused. I mean, that's what it's all about, is helping people stay focused. And when you can do what you're doing, I mean, that is, incredible, really, to help people. So we thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say one last thing here in closing, that, we have a purpose on earth, and we're supposed to be exhibiting love to each other. That's a big challenge we have in our world today. There isn't enough love. Everybody, like the captain said, or maybe it was JP, the entertainment director, said if people had more love, if they get all these politicians on these cruises like this where they could experience love and exhibit love towards each other, it could change the world. And the way we change the world is by helping people be healthy. It's the motivation isn't to get yourself in perfect shape for yourself. It's getting yourself in the best shape possible and doing the correct thing so that you can demonstrate to other people what's good for them, which is sacrificial. And that's what love's all about. It's about sacrifice. And that's what we need to be thinking. Not just is, the motivation for getting the job done and eating correctly works a lot better if you're thinking how you're going to change your life to help others. And that's really what we all want, isn't it? We all really want to help others feel loved and to know people care, and that we're actually contributing on this great earth of ours, and not just someone who's just taking, that we're giving. So thank you so much for having us on here. This is so great, and I agree with Susan. The things that you all do to get the word out is exhibiting that love to me. It's work. It takes time. We're on a cruise right now. We could be out, enjoying ourselves, but we're enjoying ourselves here because we feel good about helping other people, about doing what we're doing. And there's many people that are going to watch this, and we want to challenge you and ask you, are you doing everything you can to spread the word? And not just verbally. Remember, the action speaks much louder than the words.
Well said. We do teach by example, and you guys are a wonderful example. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope we can stay in touch. And we're in Northern California, so we're not that far from you.
Very good.
Yeah.
All the Californians, we can kind of connect somehow or something.
That absolutely. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching today. If you are interested in going on a wonderful plant-based, SOS-free cruise, we will put information about how you can do that in the description underneath the video. So look there. We'll also post links for you as well. And I'm Tami, and I help you get healthy and stay healthy, one meal at a time. See you next time.
Well, very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back on board. Just bringing in the last of the Zodiacs, heaving the anchor and starting the engines all at once. We can multitask. And we're ready to depart very shortly on our way to our final destination of Seward, ready for Anchorage. So once we get underway, we've got the short distance, only 72 miles to go. There's a slow speed, probably going to be doing about 5 or 6 knots overnight for an arrival alongside the Perth about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So just 72 miles to go. We'll head out to the fjord here. Only light winds, up to about 8 or 9 knots, not much, and we don't go out into the open sea, so there shouldn't be too much motion this evening, not from the ship anyway. Sunset is about 10 past 9 this evening, and as I said, it's very light, seas less than 1 metre, partially cloudy and partially sunny as well, and then tomorrow's a very similar day. So enjoy the final sail away with us now. At about 16:15, about 4:15 up on the top deck, we've got the duo singing, do our last signature flag raise, and it's a great photo between the funnels of the glacier behind you with the flag there as well. So make the most of that, go up on the deck, and it's quite a pleasant day actually. The sun is popping its head out occasionally. So have a great sail away with us. There's plenty of ice here around us to navigate. It's not quite as bad as it was the other day in Endicott, so the pieces are a lot smaller. So we'll find a way out of here, then speed up a little bit, and then drop down to our required speed. Just a reminder, following the lecture at about 5:15 from Felipe, at 5:30 in the lounge we'll be doing our farewell, where it gives us a chance for the crew to come and say their farewell to you. It's our farewell show, so please join us in the lounge if you're free at 5:30, and look forward to seeing you there. Have a great afternoon with us. Thank you.